What's going on, Soul Nation? Ginger Prime here, and today I'm just so thrilled we get to talk more Blue Protocol. Today they had another development update, and in another week they're going to have another development update. Obviously, communication is ramping up. This development update, number 2, live letter number 2, really we don't have an official name for these things yet. This information dump was massive. There is so much detail that I'm about to give you guys, and just bear with me because I'm still coming off this high. The information and what they showed has me so excited, and kind of that's the kid in me. The adult in me also then says, well, wait, just wait, because obviously we can overhype ourselves for things. So bear in mind, I'm having this constant tug of war struggle in my own heart and mind when it comes to everything that they're showing for Blue Protocol, because they're answering all the questions in the right way, with an exception of one, and we'll discuss that here in this video. And like with all discussions and anything I share, let me know if you got any questions in the comments below. Now, I'm not alone in this endeavor, and I want to shout out blueprotocoldb.com. I'm going to include a link to them in the description. They have a Discord, a really great community is building up over there on the Reddit and more. And they're taking the time, just like we see with the Final Fantasy community and all these other communities that form, to help translate this information in real time. Over there, you'll probably see later today or sometime this week a more detailed write-up of this. So if you don't want to listen to my voice, just stop the video, go click the link, go follow their website, and they'll be able to give you the information that you need as well. So if this happens to be your first Blue Protocol video or your first Blue Protocol video with us here at Ginger Prime, note that we've been talking about this game a little bit. I've been hesitant, but as more information starts to roll out, I think now is the time to share, because you never want to start sharing something that could be 8 years away. That ends up being a long marathon. But the closed beta test is going to be launching in March. We don't have an official date, but you can sign up for the closed beta test. They're taking 50,000 users to test this game out. And if you're interested, you can check it out. We use Exit Lag. They sponsor the Work to Game channel, and so I'll include a link here below if you want to check it out for 3 free days using our code DOWORK. But beyond that system itself, overall, this game looks just incredible. It's an anime action MMO RPG developed by Bandai Namco. And I'm going to have to keep saying that because I don't know where you're coming in. If you've been following this game for as long as they've been talking about it, let's just dive into the meat. Again, I would include a playlist for everybody who has not yet experienced this game, so that way we don't have to recap everything. There's just so much information flowing at us. And I apologize for the long intro. It just felt necessary today. So they showed off the 4 classes. You have the Fighter, the Striker, the Caster, and the Archer. These are 4 classes that have skill trees that are built up that you can use. Obviously, you get skill points by leveling up. They also have a thing called an Imagine system, and in that case, it looks like it has both battle and non-battle type effects, and you can level your Imagines in the Imagine Research Center. They showed this off, and visually it looks incredible, and I'm going to try to include the video footage of the different pieces of the stream as well when they show off these different classes. The skill board here looks incredible. It looks mind-blowingly complex. It looks like you have a lot of different ways that you can build out your character, and that's where they're going to go. Now, they didn't, or at least previous times it was alluded to that there would only be 4 classes and they weren't preparing to do any more, but it now seems like they answered as a part of the Q&A that might change, and they might introduce new classes down the road, which kind of makes sense because as a player, your character can play all 4 of the classes. They are not gender locked like you would see in a Korean-based MMORPG. So as far as the skill system is concerned, they say you have kind of 2 patterns, is the word that was translated, to use class-specific skill points and bonus points. And obviously you get your skill points, like I said, by just leveling up, and you'll be able to reset your board by using basically a ticket or some kind of item. Now, they did go on to say and confirm this game is a free-to-play game, and there's going to be a seasonal pass model to it. But that season pass model isn't going to lock you out of content. All the content is going to be available, and so I'm guessing the season pass model is going to be primarily for glamoring things. They did say that they're not going to sell you weapons. They're not going to sell you power. And so that's kind of the one concern that I have with any free-to-play game. Doesn't mean Blue Protocol is going to be bad. Doesn't mean it's going to be good. It just means that when I hear free-to-play, I guess the old school MMO subscription-based gamer in me goes, okay, what does that mean? Because I'm always about supporting games that I love. I've done so obviously with subscriptions, and they did kind of maybe tease that there might be an optional subscription model, or maybe that was mistranslated as a part of the seasonal pass model, but regardless, something to consider and something to discuss. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. I think obviously the fact that if it is just straight up free to play, that's going to open up the game to a ton of people, and maybe they'll be able to get enough support that this game it becomes bigger. Obviously, some of the questions people keep asking are, is this game coming to consoles? Is this game coming to the West? Well, it seems like maybe to both of them. The game natively supports controller play. They said it's already working and set up for the Xbox controller, and they said that specifically in this stream. What does that mean? Well, we can only guess and hope and pray and, but beyond that, they did say more controller support is coming, so you probably can expect to see kind of PlayStation 4 support from their controller because, why not? Like, let's just make this available for everybody. I think that's probably what they want to go with for the game itself. So that all kind of tied into the resetting tickets, so that's going to be what it is. Now, as far as the gameplay, when they're showing off the fighter, they did put it into debug, so they had the enemies have HP unlimited, so they could really show off how it plays. And so, obviously, you can see the fighter can equip a shield, they can block. There isn't a true tank healer DPS system here because this is an action MMORPG. Dodge, don't get hit, you can heal yourself and do so much more. They also showed off more of the elemental systems, and we'll talk about that as we get into the kind of the archer and more or less the spellcaster, because they kind of lean more into the elements than anybody before, but each class seems to also be able to use some form of elemental attack or defense. Now, as the fighter is actually concerned, when they were showing it off, they would show a little red symbol over the enemy's heads. This was really interesting because what it ended up indicating is that you had the hate. So that means that that's a good thing to communicate if you're trying to build your character out to tank for your party, which goes up to 6 people as a part of a dungeon run. They go into kind of the zone stuff, so we'll talk about that here more in a minute. Like I said, this is a massive amount of information dump, so I do apologize for a longer than normal video. Now, as you can see with the gameplay for the fighter, using skills is important. The combat feels and moves, honestly, really well. They're playing this right now with the keyboard and mouse, and you can see so from the user interface. And what you can see here for the fighter is the user interface is based off of the CBT because you don't see a black bar. When we go into the other classes, the footage or the build is going to be probably from a version prior to the CBT, because you can see that black bar at the bottom of the screen. So ultimately, I thought that was really interesting to see as we saw that. And then from the fighter, they kind of showed off a nice little dot that you could hit enemies with and more. And from there, they transitioned, can't even speak anymore, into the Twin Striker. This is a slashing 2-axe combo. And I said on stream that this gives me the Final Fantasy Warrior Sub Ninja feels, where you're wielding two axes and just going nuts. Obviously very fast. What the cool thing from a gameplay mechanic is they have the combo system in this, like combo gauge. As the striker does damage, it's going to build up their combo damage bonus up to 30% additional damage for the striker. However, if you take damage, that is how that's going to go down. So the more damage you deal, the faster that's going to go up, and to get that additional 30% damage bonus. But if you take damage or too much, it's going to go down as well. So that's going to be the give and take of the striker as a true melee build DPS support. I don't know. We'll have to see how the skill trees continue to evolve in there. So as far as healing as a part of the striker, you heal by doing damage. I think they're trying to incentivize you to always be attacking, always be striking, ABS in this case. But I really like the combo gauge. It was interesting to see how that feels up, because doing damage, getting those kills, honestly, it would drive me further and further. You want to keep comboing, and just like as you run through fields, like you're just laying waste to all kinds of things, so that way by the time you get to your destination, you're ready to go. Oh, and I forgot to mention, they are totally having notorious monsters, NMs, in this game. Anybody who's like coming from a Final Fantasy 11 background, probably maybe even older MMORPG backgrounds, NMs, these notorious monsters, these are big boss, open world boss monsters that are going to take probably a group to take down. Typically and traditionally, they drop like rare materials that you want for crafting, and that way you can turn it into different people, and that kind of drives the economy, keeps them always, I guess, in demand in this case. So anyway, they said that the striker can use the fire attribute, and the buff, it doesn't show because it's a dev issue with the fire fire attribute for the striker. That's when the named enemy appeared, like I said, on the stream, and they also showed off that you can charge your attack and use 6 continuous attacks as a striker in perpetuity. So it was really, really cool. Honestly, after watching all 4 of these, I'm glad that they're kind of drawing maybe inspiration from the Final Fantasy series, where you have one character can play all the different classes. That feels really strong, and I can't wait to see how this ultimately plays out in the long run. From here, they transition into the Blast Archer. I'm just calling it Archer. This is your long distance range attacks, and it has 2 different kind of attack modes. You can lock on, and that way you can run around the enemies, and that's gonna help you with your hit registration. However, you're gonna have to aim. Like, it shows off them aiming, being able to shoot and miss the target. This is really interesting. And the question that we had on stream was, does this mean we're gonna see like precision shots? Are we gonna see enemies where you're going to specifically target a part of their body? Because they talk about like you can get hit in your arm, and maybe that's going to disable you for that arm or something like that. Like it seems like there's going to be some context aware collision that they're already kind of hinting at. So we'll have to wait and see how we explore that overall. Now the Archer, they showed off sleeping an enemy with an arrow, a sleep arrow, a poison arrow, a raining healing arrow, and and this ultimate like earth arrow and ice arrow. Like, oh my gosh, like it was insane how they put it together. I think I said ice arrow just a second ago. Note that I might be confusing that with the caster, but we did see elemental arrows that did different things, as well as for all the classes, kind of charging up leveling skills. So it's say level 1, level 2, level 3. Certain skills have that charge to kind of have that bigger impact. And if you haven't seen obviously from the footage, enemies are going to have a knockback and stun. Like as you hit them, there's kind of that hit registration, and you can move them backwards. You can the hits feel meaty and impactful, which was really exciting to see. And so then they kind of went in again and showed off more features of that. And from there, after the Archer, and they spent some time with it, we spent a lot of time with the Spellcaster. They show off obviously mounts and the Imagine system with it, but they show off a lot of the different elementals. And they say that obviously a caster is a high DPS skill build, and it's going to, and that's why they had to turn on unlimited HP for the enemies, so that way they could get a lot of cast off and show them flying around and fighting just as the caster itself. I personally love casters. You might not know that about me. Casters usually end up being where I gravitate to. However, each one of these just looks the most appealing. Honestly, I'm probably going to start off as a fighter, get a good feel for the land, good feel for how it works, and ultimately work my way through the classes as I can. And that's usually my strategy. That's what I'm doing actually with Phantasy Star Online too right now. And going to be working my way up to where I'm casting and having a good feel for how it all works together. Beautiful animations, beautiful music, and honestly, the gameplay looks incredible. And they said from the composer that's still secret. They're not sharing who's actually doing the music for the game just yet. I thought that was it's fun. It's fun that they're having fun with it. And with the live letter structure, they're obviously learning something, taking notes from the man himself, Yoshi P, from Square Enix over at Final Fantasy, doing the Final Fantasy 14 thing. So we talked about the levels, we talked about charges, we talked about attributes, we talked about poisonings. They said that you can also use, like, a party member can actually pair attributes like fire and ice to debuff or increase the damage time and more. So there's just like little things that you can do from party synergies. And more, they kind of go into obviously the Imagine system and the Mount system and more. So they have 2 types of Imagines. These are the Battle Imagines and the Inner Imagines. Both can level up, like we said, at the Imagine Research Center, and your weapon can level up too, and your max level is going to be your level as a part of the Imagines and the weapons system itself. This is going to, I think, give us plenty of things to grind for. I love grindy games. Welcome to the Action RPG channel for myself. So Action RPG, give me XP. Let me go whack something over the side of the head. I think that's really pretty interesting to see how it goes. From here, there's some more updates. Like I said, a big episode for Blue Protocol. They show off the map. They show off how it's clouded. You have varying checkpoints that you need to go find. It's not like just running into the area is going to clear it on the map. You go find these little points, and that's going to clear the fog that is on the map. So as you clear the map, that is something not just to discover, but it doesn't happen automatically. I think that's an interesting design decision. We'll have to see how players kind of take that, because they're looking for feedback, obviously, with all of their betas. So then after they showed off all of those things, they dove into their Q&As. This is where they talked about free-to-play, no selling weapons, their income plan being a season pass, and we don't really know what that's going to play out like, but that content isn't going to be restricted based off the season pass. So they kind of haven't figured out their patterns for the season pass yet, but they're still working on those details. They did say the name duplication is going to be okay. Your character voice actually will be selectable, and they're adding more character voices as well. They said that it's going to be possible to remake a character, but they're still planning that out. They don't have details they decided to share just yet. And then it's easy. When you remake a character, you can go from a man to a woman or more a woman to a man, so that you're not going to be necessarily locked into a decision when you create your character. But honestly, I would say they're probably going to charge you for it. In a free-to-play game, you can obviously kind of start to feel out like, okay, some of the convenience things, some of the things that aren't necessary to the game they might charge for that. And, honestly, I'm okay with that. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to continue to kind of gauge how it goes. They say that the guild system is coming. It's not in the closed beta, but it will be there for official release. And they do also want to avoid forcing you to join a guild. Now, they do have plans for like living systems like fishing and casinos. They do want to implement these slowly and carefully, because especially when it comes to these free-to-play games, casino systems could be considered, illegal in certain countries. So if they are planning for this game to go global, that could be one impediment to it overall. They go into player to trade. They say materials might not be available, but in a living system like furniture, that might seem good. So this could be a translation issue. We'll try to clarify that, because I'm personally hoping for more player-to-player trading, more player economy as that goes. Now, as far as PvP, like we kind of teased in the intro, they said they do not have plans for PvP just yet, and there's some people in chat were excited about that. Some people in chat were disappointed. And for me, I think PvP is a good thing to have in games, but it doesn't necessarily always mean me versus you. PvP could be leaderboards. PvP can be kind of territorial control. There's a lot of things you can do with PvP. That kind of just feeds the overall drama of the world and how it evolves. Ultimately, not planned yet. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. It isn't required, but I don't think developers can make enough PvE content as fast as people can consume it. But I could be wrong. Maybe there's going to be an exception here. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we're not going to see it in in the closed beta test. But they have talked about party versus party, in which that enemies will form parties to kind of combat your party. So they're kind of building that out, and we'll start to see that play out in the closed beta test. Now, they said they might add more classes after official release, and so they're kind of working and preparing on that, which is great. That's actually, I think, a really cool thing that you could see. Probably maybe those become things that you buy. Who knows? We'll have to wait. And we'll share more information as that develops. They said there's no restrictions for wearing certain things by the class. And then, like we said earlier, they've already got the gamepad mapped to the Xbox, and it's already set up for that. And so they will work to support more controllers. And currently, 4K is not currently supported, but they're going to have updates for that as well. Then they also showed off the HUD. You can completely customize your HUD, and I thought that was really incredible to see just how they want to give you the freedom. Obviously, there is a design build they have already set up, but they're going to let you change it, and they showed it off, and it looked real simple and easy to do. So they call that operational degree of freedom. And then they, like I said, they showed off the demo and then more. So they said that do not cheat. We will ban you in this game. So they do not have plans to support bots or macros, which for me as an old school, macro, Final Fantasy 14 and 11 player, macros are kind of a part of it, but I can see how, like if they're designing not to have that it would make sense over the long run. They are also planning a benchmark in which that you can have your character creation function. They're working on that, and they're going to release that before the official release of the game, which we still don't know. Then they kind of showed off the zones. Essentially, zones have channels. Instances would be the way I would interpret that, and how you can get prioritized for a specific instance based off of your party. But they will have the ability that you can switch your instance or your channel, but it's not necessarily going to be like super easy, barely an inconvenience kind of thing. They said as far as it goes with people in the field, they want to shoot for the cities to have 200 people, fields to have 30 people, and dungeons to have 6 people. And this was the example that they gave. And obviously parties will be matched to the zone that they're all in. And you can try to, like I said, move to the desired channel. Now, regarding combat and conversation and chatting, they say right now they're going to have a limited chat function as a part of combat. When you're out of combat, full chat will be restored, and they're looking for feedback on that kind of information. The next dev update is going to be here in 7 days. So a week from now, be prepared to have another long video like this as we get closer to the CBT. I'm really excited. Hopefully I get to get in and play, but if not, honestly, that's okay too. I'm really excited about this game, and I'm happy to bring more information to you. If you like this video, feel like I've earned your subscription, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Go also check out blueprotocoldb.com for more information. And we'll be live again probably next Tuesday, or excuse me, next Thursday over on Twitch covering this, so we can highlight some of the cool, important things, and you can hear me kind of gush and be getting over all the information as it rolls out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Check out our personal Discord server if you want to engage and talk about Blue Protocol, Phantasy Star Online 2, more action action RPGs, MMO variety or not. Either way is good. Anyway, my name is Brian. This is Ginger Prime. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.